Hey guys, I'm back with another video. I know it's been a bit, I've been really busy with finals, but I had enough time to squeeze this in real quick, and I thought I'd let you guys know my first impressions of My Hero Academia. I've recently just collected a lot more of it, so this is only going to be on the first 5 volumes. It's around chapters 1 through 44, I'm pretty sure, and I'm just going to go through my thoughts on it. I don't think it needs too much of an introduction. It's pretty much the biggest series out right now besides like One Piece. So most people already know about it. So let's get right into it. So the story starts off with us meeting the main character, Deku, who is just walking down the street and he sees some professional heroes saving some people's lives from two giant monsters. And we soon find out that this world is not like ours at all. Everyone basically has quirks, and quirks are basically just superpowers. And we really, right from the beginning, get to see how much he idolizes them, and it's cool to see that he looks up to them from the very start. Sadly though, in the introduction we also get to see another main character in the story, Bakugo, and how mean and cruel he is to Deku. He tells him to jump off a roof, that he's not worth living, and the reason he's saying this is because Deku is what they call quirkless, which means he doesn't have a superpower, he was born without one, and he will never get one. He's basically past the age of ever receiving one. And we get a really sad flashback of him finding out, watching old superhero clips, and just crying in his room. And that's when we first get to see his idol, All Might. Now before I get into All Might, I want to talk about the Deku-Bakugo dynamic. It really reminds me of Sasuke and Naruto's relationship. I don't know if it's because I just finished Naruto and it's still fresh in my mind, but I don't know, Naruto is very similar to Deku in that they both have dreams, but both have a hurdle to climb over. In Deku's case, he's quirkless, and in Naruto's case, he's not a good ninja. However, there's also Sasuke, who relates to Bakugo quite a bit, because they're both very cruel and born with just innate talent that gets them further than anyone else just based off of the family they were born into or the powers they were born with. I will say one thing though, however, is I'm not sure if you guys would agree with me, but Deku seems more dedicated to his goal of becoming a professional hero from the start than Naruto did. Naruto kind of just seemed like a slacker in the beginning, while Deku is still trying to go and become a professional hero, although he's quirkless, which I really like about his character. It really shows that against all odds, no matter what, he was still gonna try to become a hero. Even if he didn't get a quirk, I still feel like he was gonna try to find a way to become a hero. And going into Deku becoming a professional hero, that's where All Might comes into the story, because he meets him after he gets attacked by his monster and All Might saves him. And he ends up just clinging on to All Might just to get some advice on what to do to become a hero. Because he is the #1 hero. He's the best person to get advice from. So who better to ask than him? And in the beginning, All Might seems very cold. He kind of just tells him to be a police officer and brushes him off. But after that encounter, he gets to see him in action, how he really like steps up to the job of a professional hero. Okay, so because of plot, the story has to continue. All Might's power just so happens to be that he can pass on his quirk to someone else through DNA. And after seeing Deku rise to the occasion to save someone, he decides that Deku is the one that's going to be able to inherit his power called All for One. But the problem is his body's not really physically capable of even handling that much power right now. So the majority of Volume 1 basically just covers Deku training like Rocky style to become a hero and be able to obtain this quirk. And it really just reinforces the idea of how dedicated Deku is to becoming a hero. Like, he is going and training every day after school, training in school, and it's just non-stop for him all year long. And it really pays off in the end, because at the end he finally gets the power. Granted, he can't fully use it yet, but he still has it, and it's better than anything he's had before. So with this power, he decides that he's going to apply to his dream school, UA High School, which is the most elite school for anyone that wants to become a professional hero. Initial test to get into this school, we get introduced to a few more people. A lot of them aren't really introduced too well in the beginning. The only really two that are Ida and Uramaki, and they'll later become his classmates. But I'm not gonna really spoil how the test went, but he passes basically, and he gets into his school, and he gets to his homeroom, and we find out that Bakugo is also his classmate. He also applied to this school, and we also start to see at this point that Bakugo isn't even really, well, he is mad, but he's more, he feels betrayed by Deku. He almost feels like he was tricked because no one else knows that Deku has this power from All Might. So Bakugo just thinks he's been tricking him this whole time, making him think that he was quirkless. And it kind of creates a dilemma because Deku's like the most good person you could possibly be. So he wants to tell Bakugo, like, yo, I wasn't messing with you. I got this from All Might, and wants to tell him the whole story. But All Might is firm set on not letting anybody know. And I think it's a cool dynamic that goes through a series because as the story goes on, you start to see that everyone in his class starts to kind of put two and two together, and it's really cool to see like how they each figure it out and what their own theories are on it. Because throughout the training and the first few weeks of class, everyone's like, whoa, Deku's power is a lot like All Might's, and it's really cool that no one else knows but him and a few other people, but everyone else kind of has an idea of it, and it's kind of cool to see how that progresses as it goes on. We also get introduced to his homeroom teacher, who is a professional hero, Eraserhead, and I don't know what your guys' opinions are on him, but I think he is one of the coolest characters in the series. He can go from just sleeping and looking like he's about to fall asleep to being like the most badass character in the series. And I think he's one of my favorite heroes. I don't know about you guys. Actually, let me know down in the comments who's your favorite hero. I kind of want to know. Try to like, exclude the classmates. Like I want to know like professional heroes. Who's your favorite? I've met a few more as I read further, but I'm not going to get into any of them today. But Eraserhead is definitely up there for me right now. But yeah, he's cool. He's their homeroom teacher, and he has a real love-hate relationship. Like he like makes it seem like he doesn't like the class, but like deep down he really appreciates them and sees the potential they have. And I think he's a great character, and I can't wait to see what they do with him in the future because there's no way he's just going to be a homeroom teacher. Like he's going to have a story later on, and I kind of can't wait to see him like fight in real life and where there's like actual danger. Another aspect that I really like about the series that not many other series do very well is each character has their own backstory, motivations, and reason for wanting to become a professional hero. Even though you might not find out about them right off the start, as time goes on you start to learn more and more about each character, and it makes each side character really feel like they're an actual character. There's some series that outside of like the main three series, like not main series, the main three characters, you really don't know much about them. Like Naruto, like Tenten, I don't know anything about her. Like other series like that, there's not many that do it as good as My Hero Academia does because it has a wide range of characters for how early on in the series it is. Usually you don't get this many characters until you're at least 10 volumes in, maybe even longer sometimes, and I think it pulls it off really well for how early on in the series it is. I also enjoy how the series, right from the start, involves like battle scenes without any real threat occurring. Like it's all practical training at the school, but we get to see everyone's quirks and how they use them and their dynamics with each other. Like in one of the first practical exams, we get more of a flashback on Bakugo and Deku's relationship when they were kids, and it's kind of cool that they were friends when they were younger, and we don't really know what happened in between there right now, but they started off as such good friends, and now Bakugo hates him, and Deku looks up to him surprisingly for how much he gets bullied. I'm surprised he still looks up to him, but I think that's part of Deku's character. He tries to find the good in everybody, and it's a cool character trait, but I think it's a little bit overused with Deku. Don't get me wrong, he's a great character, but he just tries to find the best in everyone, and I think there's some situations where you just gotta accept that they're evil and move on, but Deku doesn't really do that, and I'm hoping that, not that it changes, but that he's able to see that not everyone's good in the world, and maybe there's some character development with that later on, but we'll see. And up until the first volume, I really was enjoying the whole series. I was thinking it was at a good pace, characters were good, but the end of volume 2 was where I realized it was definitely a series different from many others when it introduced the League of Villains, because they're basically the opposite of the professional heroes. They're the outcasts, nobody likes them, where the professional heroes everyone loves, and they're fighting to kill All Might because he's the symbol of peace. And you kind of see where they're coming from in a way, because they've been basically shunned their entire life for their appearance or what their quirks are without even really looking at who they are as an individual. And their their motivations are like, they're believable, which I like in a villain, but there are some villains that kind of are just evil to be evil, and we'll get into more of that in a little bit because there's another character I want to talk about that I think is one of the best villains in the series and in manga I've read so far. But yeah, at the end of volume 2, we get introduced to League of Villains when they attack the school. And honestly, I was not ready for that big of a fight that early on into the series. Like, it was at least 20 people each on each side just battling it out. And they're, besides the students, because they seemed like they had like plot armor at that point, like the teachers and stuff, they seemed like there was real threats that they could die. And we also got to see All Might fight like hard and real for the first time with like an actual challenge, and that was really cool to see because we get to see kind of like where Deku's powers can be later on. And we also get to see that with giving Deku his power, All Might is losing his power. So it kind of has to quicken the pace for Deku to become a professional hero to fill that spot that All Might's going to end up inevitably leaving behind. And volume 3 through 4 is just some more practical training and development for characters and introducing them more thoroughly, which definitely was required because, like I said, they did develop them well in the beginning, but it definitely needed to be enhanced more going forward so we can feel something about the characters. I think the story really picks up though when the tournament arc starts, and going into it, I had a high expectations because a lot of people claim that it's the best tournament arc to ever happen in Shonen, and that it does everything right and it's perfect. And I'd agree that it's definitely a great tournament arc, but it's definitely not the best. In terms of fights, it's definitely up there, but it's definitely lacking in some ways because a lot of the fights are just fights. Like, there's no real emotion behind them, there's no motivation, it's just to show off quirks of students we haven't seen yet. But then there's fights like Todoroki versus Deku and Bakugo versus Todoroki that take all the emotion that was lacking from the other fights and makes up for it tenfold. And I think that's the best part of the tournament arc, not even the fights, the meaning behind the fights. Like, the Todoroki versus Deku fight is probably one of my favorite fights in Shonen because just we get to learn so much about those two. We get to learn why Todoroki isn't using half of his quirk and his relationship with his family and his father especially. And on the other side we get to learn just how much Deku really personifies being a hero, because he's willing to give up the winning of the tournament, which is a big deal in this world because the better you do, the more hero agencies scout you, the more willing people are to take you under their wing and mentor you into becoming a hero. And it really just shows that no matter what, he is dedicated to helping people, no matter what the cause, no matter what it affects him. And in the end, he's successful. Like, he loses the fight, but he kind of wins the battle because he got Todoroki to realize that, like, he was being ridiculous and that, like, everyone else is fighting all out in this tournament, and he kind of feels like disrespected that Todoroki's only using half of his power just because he doesn't like his father. And when Todoroki finally uses it, what I really like about it is, in other series, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when there's like a forbidden like move or power, after they use it once, they're willing to use it whenever they want going forward. But in My Hero Academia, Todoroki like really questions whether he should use the power or not, like whether he should use his dad's quirk or not, because after that fight he really doesn't use it anymore in the tournament. Like, he refuses to use it against Bakugo, which really just pisses Bakugo off. But I don't know, that the backstory with Todoroki and the fight with Deku and showing how much it really takes for him to change made Todoroki one of my favorite characters almost instantaneously. Like, not many series have been able to make me a fan of a character so fast. Like, I went from like, who is that ice dude, to holy crap, he's one of my favorite characters by the end of the tournament arc. And I think that's the highlight of the tournament arc. The fights are good, but there's definitely, like, if you want fights for a tournament arc, I'd say like Yu Yu Hakusho is better. The Hunter exams from Hunter x Hunter, that's a better tournament arc. And like, I don't know, like the Deku and Todoroki fight really reminded me of the Gaara versus Rock Lee fight in the Chunin exams. And they're similar in so many ways. Like, there's so much emotion in it. Rock Lee isn't very capable with ninjutsu, similar to how Deku isn't really capable with his power yet. Like, he doesn't know how to control it. Where Gaara was born with power, he was given power, and he's scary strong, just like Todoroki. Like, he was born with power, and he is so much stronger than any classmate at this point in the series, like, by a long shot. And it kind of took that, like, it definitely gave me, like, nostalgia for that fight, and that's why I think the tournament arc is great. Not because of the fights, but because of the development behind the fights and their reasoning. Yeah, so, honestly, I haven't read a series that has such a good start to a series, from the introduction to him getting his quirk to the tournament arc and the fights leading up to the tournament arc. I really can't think of many other series that have that great of a start right from the beginning. So just based off that, I think the series is worth giving a shot, whether you're a shonen fan or not. I would say pick up the first 2 volumes, that way you can see what the series is all about, and you could get introduced to League of Villains, because I think once the League of Villains get introduced, the world really opens up and it really starts to expand with the possibilities that the series can lead into in the future. And I definitely can't wait to see what the League of Villains do in the future, and all the other characters. Like, almost every side character and classmate of Deku, I feel some type of way about. Like each character has their own aspects that make them separate from the others and make them their own great character. Like Uramaki, she's a great character, and she seems like she's so happy all the time, but then you start to learn about her backstory and her family back home, and it really just makes you appreciate every character. So I definitely enjoyed the series. I can't wait to see what happens in the future. If you're reading My Hero Academia as well, let me know what you thought about the beginning of the series, the first 5 volumes at least, or whatever you consider the beginning of the series. And if you agree with me, disagree with me, I just kind of want to talk about the series because it's definitely interesting, and I know a lot of people like it, so I figured there'd be a lot of opinions on this video, whether my take is right or wrong. But yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time, and peace out.